United States' decision to enter World War II was influenced by a complex interplay of factors, including domestic policies, international relations, and strategic considerations. Despite growing tensions in Europe and Asia, the U.S. initially adhered to a policy of isolationism, avoiding direct involvement in foreign conflicts. However, the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, marked a turning point leading to America's entry into the war. Prior to Pearl Harbor, the U.S. had been cautious about committing to military intervention abroad. Throughout the 1930s, the nation remained focused on domestic concerns, grappling with the aftermath of the Great Depression and embracing a policy of non-interventionism. This stance was reflected in legislation such as the Neutrality Acts, which aimed to keep the U.S. out of foreign conflicts. However, as the war escalated in Europe and Asia, American attitudes began to shift. While President Franklin D. Roosevelt sought to support Allied nations through programs like Lend-Lease, public opinion remained divided over the prospect of direct military involvement. The embargo imposed on Japan, particularly on crucial resources like oil, further strained relations and raised concerns about potential Japanese aggression. The attack on Pearl Harbor served as a catalyst for U.S. entry into the war. The surprise assault by Japanese forces inflicted significant damage on the U.S. Pacific Fleet and resulted in the loss of thousands of lives in response. President Roosevelt addressed Congress, calling for a declaration of war against Japan. The attack galvanized American resolve and unified public support for military action. Following the attack on Pearl Harbor, American sailors, Marines, and soldiers faced a daunting and grueling conflict in the Pacific theater. The vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean presented largest logistical challenges, while harsh tropical environments and hostile terrain tested the resilience of the U.S. forces. Japanese tactics, including kamikaze attacks and entrenched defenses, added to the complexity of the conflicts. U.S. forces engaged in intense battle across the Pacific, from the jungle of Guadalcanal to the beaches of the two Jima and Okinawa. The fighting was characterized by ferocious combat, with U.S. troops facing determined Japanese resistance. The island-hopping campaign, spearheaded by General Douglas MacArthur and Admiral Chester Nimitz, aimed to gradually push back Japanese forces and secure strategic objectives. The war against Japan culminated in the Pacific with the dropping of atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In August 1945, the decision to use atomic weapons remains a subject of debate, with proponents arguing that it hastened the end of the war and saved lives by avoiding a costly invasion of Japan. However, the use of atomic bombs also had profound consequences. The devastation wrought by the bombings led to unprecedented loss of life and widespread destruction. The long-term effects of radiation exposure on survivors and subsequent generations underscore the ethical and moral dilemmas surrounding the use of nuclear weapons. Had the U.S. opted for a conventional invasion of Japan, casualties on both sides would likely have been staggering. Military plans estimated that such an invasion, codenamed Operation Downfall, could result in hundreds of thousands of Americans' casualties and millions of Japanese casualties. The ferocity of Japanese resistance and the tenacity of the Japanese military made the prospect of invasion a daunting and costly endeavor. In the aftermath of the war, Japan faced a period of reconstruction and reconciliation, grasping with the devastation of defeat and the legacy of wartime atrocity. The emergence of Japan as a peaceful and democratic nation, as well as the enduring alliance between the U.S. and Japan, reflects a complex and evolving relationship between former adversaries. In conclusion, The U.S. wanted to get involved in World War II due to domestic concerns and policy of non-interventionism. But the attack on Pearl Harbor II prompted the attack on Pearl Harbor prompted a decisive shift towards military action. U.S. forces in the Pacific War faced significant challenges, culminating in the use of atomic bombs and the eventual surrender of Japan. While the decision to drop the bombs remains controversial, it ultimately brought an end to the war and reshaped the course of history.